Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today we have a guest on the pod. Everybody can welcome Paige Smith Photo. Say hey, Paige.
Hi.
Paige, I am so excited to have you on.
I am so excited and honored to be here.
I feel like I emailed this to you when we were talking, but like it really does feel full circle because we met at the very first photo camp.
Yes, that it's just so crazy how now I'm here on the podcast and the first photo camp was just such an amazing experience
It
and
really
it
was.
really is full circle.
It's like it's so crazy for me to think about because photo camp is very different than it was like at the time. Like we've made tons of changes to it and stuff, but like that one is just so special. Like has a special place in my heart in the community of it and everything. So I'm like, and I didn't even have a podcast. I remember like talking to people and being like, I think I want to start a podcast. What do you guys think?
I'm
So
so
it's
glad you
crazy.
did.
Me too. Oh my gosh. So I'm excited. But before we jump into just like chatting about all the things, tell us like who you are, what you do, introduce yourself.
I'm Paige Smith. I am a wedding photographer in Kansas City. I started with seniors, and then as I kind of transitioned out of being a senior myself and being in college and everything, I got into weddings. So now I'm doing weddings full time. And most of my weddings are in Kansas City, but I also have some destination weddings. So yeah, I'm just like full on in the wedding world now.
It's so fun because I always feel like you are always destination. Like I feel like you're always somewhere. You and Tatum, who also came to the first photo camp, like you guys are just always like on an adventure, I feel like.
Yes, last year I guess I did go to Mexico 4 times and the Dominican one time.
There you go. So that's why that's in my brain.
Yes. And I love getting destination work, so I'm so grateful for that. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. And bringing a second shooter who's also like a friend is makes it even more fun.
Yeah, I do that too. Like, not that I do a ton of weddings, but like if I do need to bring like an assistant or a second shooter for even like brand work or something, I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm gonna bring someone that's like super fun. Like last year, I brought my friend Megan, and
Yes.
I was like, okay, I have like a family friend's wedding. No, no, no. I'm flying Megan out. Like
Yes,
she's gonna be my photographer because I just want someone like super fun that I can trust and that like I love. So it makes a wedding day a lot easier, I think.
definitely.
But I didn't realize that you started in seniors. That's cool.
Yeah, so I started in high school, so naturally I was doing people my age just for fun to start, and then people
Yeah.
started asking me like how much would you charge? So then it started becoming like strangers at my school and surrounding schools. So yeah, that is how I
Yeah.
started seniors.
That's really cool. I think that like a lot of people ask like how do I find my niche or how do I find like my people and stuff. And I actually talked in an episode last week about that. But I feel like the biggest thing is like who are you surrounded by? Because sometimes it's more natural than you actually think. Like if you're surrounded by a ton of families, like start there and then see if you like it, and if you don't like it, move on. But like but if you're surrounded by families or if you're surrounded by couples because that's your life season or for you at the time like seniors, it just makes sense. Like when I started specifically like honing in on seniors, I was literally a student pastor. So like I had high schoolers all around me,
Yeah.
and it was just like easy to start that way because they're like around you.
Yeah, that's how it was for me. I mean, I was surrounded by seniors. I was a senior. And then now all of my friends are getting engaged. I'm engaged and I'm
Yes.
doing like friends' weddings now, which is so funny. And like some of my seniors that I did when they were in high school, now I'm like doing their wedding next year.
Yes. I know. Sometimes I get inquiries for that and I'm like, no, girl, I'm not doing your wedding, but congrats.
Yes,
Like, I love it. So it is cool that you kind of transitioned along with them. Like you're growing up with them in a way. That's kind of
yes.
cool. I
I've
love
also
that.
talked to some older wedding photographers who now do families, and they said it's because as they had their own
Mhm.
family, and like didn't want to work weekends anymore, it was just natural to like transition into families because now they're surrounded by
Yeah.
families. So
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Even for Zach and I, like we got a house in August, and like us being in a neighborhood that's very community oriented with families all around us, it's super different than like before this. We lived in an apartment complex with a ton of like young professionals and stuff. And like the pressure to do family photos is so crazy. Like I meet someone, I'm like, hey, I'm a photographer. They're like, oh, great. I'll contact you when it's time for families. And I'm like, wait, but I don't, okay.
yeah,
Okay, just
yes,
let me know and I'll do it. So it's definitely like interesting because you gotta have to like stand your ground or like make sure you have a good referral list if you don't want
yes.
to do whatever like life season you're in. But
Mhm.
anyway, okay, so how long had you been doing couples from the time that like you switched over from seniors to the time that like you went to photo camp in 2024?
Photo camp was honestly like my transition period. It was the year I was
Ooh.
graduating college. So, I had kind of made the decision that when I graduated, I wasn't going to get any other job. I was just going to keep doing photography. And that year I had maybe like 11 weddings, I think.
Wow.
But
That's
they were
amazing.
Yes, I was so excited. That was my first year, like consistently having weddings. Before then, it was just kind of like here and there, someone I
Yeah.
knew, or that like needed a cheaper photographer since you're cheaper when you like first start doing
Yeah.
something. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna do this and I'm not gonna get any other job. So at photo camp, that was kind of like I was like mid transitioning from seniors to weddings. So
That's so cool. And now it's been 2 years. Like
yeah.
that's so crazy because the first photo camp was April 2024. And
Mhm.
right now it's March 2026. Like that is crazy to think about. I didn't even plan that when we were talking about this podcast, but like that's wild. It's literally been 2 years.
That is
So
crazy.
that's crazy. What do you remember from the first photo camp?
Well, so the first photo camp was kind of my first real retreat. I had done one before that, but it was like kind of a friend, and this one was like my first real retreat, like flying somewhere, and I absolutely loved it. I had so much fun, and I felt like I really got to be creative and just like experiment with like posing and editing
Yeah.
and meeting like so many other people from all around the world that are kind of in the same place as you was really fun.
Yeah.
And um it was just it like really made me love retreats and want to keep going to
Me too.
them.
I was like, I literally was like, yeah, I'm gonna do once, like one a year probably when I start, and then I'm like, no, 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 I'm gonna do one the same year. Like I like
You
found just such
did.
a like an addictive personality for
Yes.
retreats, and then like all my friends started doing them, so I started like attending theirs. And I
Yes.
love a good retreat. Let me tell
Me
you, like
too.
it's
It's
so
so
crazy to think
fun.
about.
Also in April, it was kind of the start or like the end of slow season for me
Mm,
in Missouri. It's definitely seasonal and
sure.
I don't really shoot at all in January, February, sometimes like most of March, unless it's like a studio session. Now I do like a lot of indoor engagement sessions,
Yeah.
but it like started having photo camp at the end of slow season was like so refreshing to like get to be creative, and that's
That's
when you're like
cool.
craving to like go back to shooting, so it was like a
Yeah.
really good time to do it also.
That is actually like such a good point because it was like good wet. Well, I guess that year we ended up having like we had flooding the first day or something. I forgot about that until just now. Yeah, I have trauma from that.
That would be so scary, your first retreat and
My
having to
first retreat ever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is changing. Like, I still get sad when I think about those shoots because we had to move them to indoor for that first day. I'm like, oh man, but it's fine. We
they were
don't.
still fun
They were
and
still great. Yeah,
yeah.
they were still great. But I'm like, oh man, like they were supposed to be on the beach. And then it was just like literal flooding happening. It's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so you're kind of talking about like how you were in like a transition season for your business, and that's kind of like when you attended. What do you feel like was like a struggle for you in that season?
I think just like having the portfolio to book weddings was
Yeah.
hard because it's just hard to get started in a new niche, I guess, because I have seniors, I'm posting seniors, so that's what you're going to get inquiries for. And
Right.
you have to like create a portfolio of what you want to shoot. So I think that's the hardest part. During that period, one day I just randomly decided like I'm just not ever going to post a senior ever again. And I
Yeah.
ended up creating a second account for seniors because I did keep doing seniors for a while. Like the next year I still had like 60 seniors,
Oh my
I
gosh,
think.
Paige. That's crazy.
I know. And then I had wet or I had a separate account for that just so I could still keep doing them.
Right.
And then now I only do maybe 5 to 10 seniors a year. Um,
That's a
but
big
I,
change.
yes, I just decided never posting a senior on my account ever again. And I would just milk the content I had. So like
Yeah.
I second shot a few times and I would like just spread that out all over my feed. I did like 3 styled shoots myself that were weddings and I would just like post that over and over. And then eventually
Yeah.
people would book me for weddings. And then now I'm like overflowing with my own wedding content to post.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so I know that some people listening to this, like the way you said that was so perfect. Like I just milked it for all it was for like its content. What does that look like for you? Like when you're milking like one shoot, you've got one shoot, what do you do for all the content?
So, like, for example, one styled wedding shoot, instead of like kind of posting one, like in a carousel, instead of posting one slide, all different like scenes, like moving them around the venue or moving them around outside, whatever it is, I would make a post per different like scene.
Yeah.
So like they're on the stairs. This whole post is going to be different poses of them on the stairs. And then later I'm going to post the same couple, same shoot, but them like outside, and it's
Yeah.
just all gonna be of them outside.
Smart.
So yeah, I would, and then maybe later I post a reel with the same photos, but since it's a reel, you can do it differently.
That's cool. Okay, I love that. I feel like that was kind of like what moved the needle for you is like having the content to be
Mhm.
able to post. And then you went from like 60 seniors to now like maybe five seniors,
Yeah,
like whichever ones you want. Like that
yeah.
is really cool of how you were able to like transition what, you know, lane of photography you were in. That's really
Mhm.
awesome. And I love that something like Photo Camp, and you've been to other retreats too, where you were able to get like couples content, you know, to be able to post, like that's helpful for you. But
Mhm.
how did you feel like you landed? Because like seniors to couples is an easy transition when it comes to like you know how to take the pictures. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know how like you like your style of editing, but I feel like posing and like what the picture speaks itself is very different in a couples shoot than in a senior shoot. You know what I mean by that?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about that for a little bit.
So it was very different because seniors, you're posing them by themselves, and with
Yeah.
couples you have to like work off of each other. So I feel like I started with a lot of prompting. Like I would be like, pick her up and spin her around, so that they were like doing things engaging together.
Yeah.
And with seniors, I still did prompting, like walk towards me, spin around, but there was more posing, like still posing, than I
Mhm.
do with couples. And honestly, when I first started, I made a list because I didn't want to forget poses, and I would make it my
Smart.
screensaver, and I would just look at it, and I tried to put it in an order that made sense to like go from pose to pose, like working off of each other. And then eventually it just became natural, and I didn't need to look at the list anymore because
Yeah.
they were poses that I did every single time. But I do feel like you just have to do a lot more like interacting with each other when it's two people.
Smart.
And like having them mess around with each other, and it's just like a completely different vibe, and you just have to practice a lot and
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah, I love that. Like just practice makes perfect. You
Hmm.
know, like and not that any of us are ever going to be perfect in whatever niche we pick, but like the more we practice, the more we see growth in it. So I do love that. I feel like one of the things that like to me when I look at your work sets your work apart is how like true to color your work is, but yet it is also like very creative. And those are things I feel like you do a good job of like branding your business as of like creative, but also like classic. You
Yeah.
know, like if I were getting married right now, obviously been married now for like, I don't know, 6.5 years. So definitely not anymore. But like, I remember when I was getting married, I was looking for something that felt more classic. Like, I didn't want something that was like super trendy, but you balance that like so well. Like, I would totally pick you as a wedding photographer because
Thank
like
you.
you really do have like such this like creativity that you bring to the table, but also the classic true to color. Like, how do you feel like you balance
First of all, thank you so much. That is the biggest compliment ever because that is
that?
exactly what I'm going for. So I'm glad
Perfect.
that you can see it. Um, I feel like the way so in my opinion, for wedding photos, I just want to keep all of my edits true to color because brides spend so much time like picking
Yeah.
out colors and decor and their bridesmaids' dresses. And I personally just like true to color for weddings specifically, so you
Yeah.
can really see like all of those details in like its true color and what it really looked like. So that is important to me, and I just really try to stay true to that every time I'm editing. But when it comes to posing, that's where I try to be more creative.
Well,
And I still always do the traditional poses. Like I think it's really important to have it like both of the couple smiling at the camera. That's like
mhm.
just important to have in a gallery and some of the other more traditional poses. But then I also try to like incorporate just more creative. So that way you still have like the classic editing, but then you can have more creative posing.
That's really
Or
good.
like detail shots. I really like trying to get creative with detail shots. And honestly, I'm still working on like being creative. Every wedding, I'm trying to like find something new to do and get even more creative
Cool.
because that is really where like my passion for photography comes from is being creative. But I feel like a really good way to like blend that in a wedding gallery is I try to stay like classic with editing and then fun with
Yeah.
posing. So,
I love that. I love that you said you try to bring like one new thing to a wedding. I actually do that in busy season with my seniors too, because I think sometimes we can get through like the routine of things. And especially if a lot of the weddings that you're doing have similar timelines or like even like, the work that we put out on social media is most of the time the people that are booking us are going to have similar type weddings, right? Or
mhm.
similar type, senior sessions for me and stuff like that. And so like sometimes it really can feel like mundane when we're shooting like all the time back to back. But I really do try to bring like, okay, let me think of one additional pose, or I've done this location a million times. What's like a different spot that I can go to in this location? Like what's one thing that like I can still make everything else like the same as all my other seniors, but like I'm bringing one thing to the table that's just for me. And I sometimes I'll even like tell my senior like, hey, just so you know, I don't normally do this. If it fails, I'll let you know. Like, my bad. I won't give it to you in the gallery if this is weird, and like just make it like a moment. Obviously, you can't do that as much on a wedding day, like as real, but I love that you said that because I do feel like that's such a good tip for anyone who's feeling like a little bit more uninspired. What would you say to someone who feels just like really influenced by trends or maybe even just feels like lost in their style a little bit?
I that is a really hard question
Yeah.
because like for a lot of people, I feel like in photography, I think that there are just a lot of trends and a lot of fads in editing specifically that come
Yeah.
and go, and I honestly love all of them.
Me
Like I
too.
think they're all beautiful and it makes it really hard because I want to like do that for fun.
Yep.
Um but I think what you have to do is just pick your style, like what you truly resonate with the most and just stick with it. Like, I actually started with like more true to color editing when I started, and then really, really, really warm yellowy tones kind of came in style.
Yep.
And I started doing that. And then I switched again to a more like filmy look. And then when I started doing weddings full time is when I went back to True to Color because I was just like, I felt like I couldn't find my style or like what I liked
Yeah.
best and what worked for every session and every wedding. So I went back to where I started and I was like, I think True to Color really is what I like best. And now I can like confidently say that is how I like editing best. Um, and then I've just stuck to that no matter what. And I really do love all the trends that come around. But I just stick to what I know and what I love. So I think just stay strong.
Yeah.
um,
Honestly, I was going to say that. Like, I feel like it takes self control.
yes, because I really do love so many different types of editing.
Yeah.
There isn't really one that I don't like. And if you have the urge to do something, I would say just do like a styled shoe. Ask your
Yeah.
friends to model for you, and then you can like just edit a different way for fun. But when it comes to like your paid sessions, just keep to what you know and what you love.
Yeah.
And for people who feel like lost in their style, I would say just like keep practicing and your style will always evolve and I think that's good and I think that it shows that like you're growing but kind of like see what you've done in the past. Like I went back to the very first type of editing that I ever did and I realized that is what I like the best. Or if you like have some favorite photographers and they all have a consistent editing style, like maybe that's true to color, maybe that is what you do like best if you find yourself like really liking that type of work.
Yeah.
And then just stick to that. And your true to true to color editing can evolve, but like stay in the same category, I guess, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, I love what you just said. Like it can evolve, but staying in the same category. I think that's so smart when booking clients because clients are looking at our work and they're looking for like what they want to book. And if our style is shifting or changing like every shoot that we do or every couple of months, then a client's going to book us and their date's going to be in a couple months or even for weddings like in a year in advance or something like that. And then the photos that they receive are going to be completely different if we're changing our style too much. So I think it's really helpful with booking. But what else do you feel like is like working for you right now when it comes to booking clients?
When it comes to booking, I would say just like showing my work on Instagram is how I'm like getting new clients.
Hmm.
I try to post like 5 times a week. Try. And that used to be with like a mix of reels and carousels, but with how busy I am right now, it's mostly just carousels, but that's okay as long as I'm posting.
Yeah.
I feel like every
Carousels
post.
are doing really well right
Yes,
now on
they are.
Instagram.
I think
Yeah,
Instagram actually might be pushing them more than reels right
I
now,
think so too.
which it does bother me a little bit how often Instagram changes their algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah. We can complain about that, but
But yeah, so that's good. And I tell myself with every new post, like it could reach a new client who is
true.
engaged and needs a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And I just try to showcase like my favorite pictures and the type of clients that I want to book.
That's
So that
cool.
I'm booking those in the future.
Yeah. When you're posting and you're like, okay, I know that a client might come from this, what do you think sets you apart from other photographers?
I would say going back to my mix of like being creative and classic at the same
Yeah.
time. Um, Also, one thing that's like pretty popular right now is being branded as either documentary, cinematic, or editorial. Like, I feel like
True.
um, those are like really big keywords right now, and photographers are kind of choosing one and like branding themselves as that. And I also feel like clients are like looking for those words, even though I
True.
don't know that they all really know what each of them mean
Yep.
because they're not photographers. They don't have to know what they mean, but I feel like they're looking for something that they don't necessarily know like the true definition of. So what I do, I feel like it differently is I don't feel like I need to pick one of those and stay in those categories. I feel like when my flash is on, I do very editorial poses, but then I feel like during the ceremony, I'm getting lots of documentary
Yeah.
reactions. Um, and then during sunset photos, I might do some more cinematic type posing. And I think that is unique nowadays to like try to incorporate it all because people are really trying to like lean into one or the other.
Yeah, that's really smart. And then maybe even using keywords in your post that
Yes.
go with all three of those things because you are showcasing all three of those things. That's actually really smart. Is there anything that you do kind of in your like booking process that's made like a big difference for you?
I recently like fully went into Dubsado and I used to kind of do everything. I used to have Pixie Set and I really did enjoy Pixie Set because you can do everything on there.
Yeah.
Um but Dubsado has more automations and recently I like got a whole proposal template and implemented that and it's a lot easier for my clients to like go in instead of like going back and forth with them and asking which package they want and what add-ons they want. It's kind of like a cart and they can go in and they can add the package that they want and the add-ons that they want. And I feel like it just like looks better for clients and more professional, just because it's easier for them, but
Yeah. No,
that's
I am obsessed with that answer page. I use HoneyBook, but for anybody who doesn't know HoneyBook, Dipsado, Pixie Set, all those things that we just said, they're all like client relations software and they're super helpful, especially Dipsado and HoneyBook. I feel like are just a little bit more advanced with, like you said, Paige, kind of the automations and stuff. And dead serious, I am obsessed with my automation workflow. Like I talk about it all the time, even to people who aren't photographers. I'm like, yeah, like I do this thing where it's like automated. I'm
yeah.
like so obsessed with it because it really does like help. My headphones are coming off, sorry. Um, but it really does help with like I think sometimes like the first response wins, whether we want that to be true or not. Like we want our clients to find us because of our style and because they love our personality and all these things. And part of that is true. Like, of course, people are looking for that. But then they might reach out to like 5 people who might be similar in their work. And sometimes the first response wins, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. And that was actually like in the business course that I took, that was one of the things they were like, answer your inquiries as fast as possible because it
Yes.
really does make a difference no matter how much your clients love your work. Sometimes it's just to answer as fastest. And I
Yeah.
have had clients who I replied to, but then they had a phone call with a different photographer
Yeah.
before me. So before we even had a chance to get on our call, they were like, sorry, I actually ended up going with someone else. So
Right.
I do think it is super important to answer fast. And I do have an automated email right away that says like Paige will review your inquiry as soon as possible and get right back to you, and I try
Right.
to get back like under 24 hours. And I have it automated, like I have a template that I just insert and then like kind
Yeah.
of insert some of their wedding things that they say in their inquiry, like about their venue or their date or whatever, and then
Yeah.
so it is really easy for me, and I think it does make a huge difference. And
Yeah.
also at the first photo camp, I actually remember your talk on your whole like automated process. And
Yes.
my favorite because I was like, this is such practical information that I like actually really need and is really helpful.
So
So
this is so funny. I will never forget you and Tatum were sitting next to each other. And I wish that I could have taken a picture of Tatum's face during it because I will never forget her face was just like this, like so confused because I was saying like I had everything automated and that I didn't have to like actually one-on-one have like an email conversation with somebody because everything was templates, you know? And
yes.
I just remember like looking up from my notes and seeing Tatum's face like
What? You can do
it
that?
was so funny, but like genuinely it really is like I think the best part of my business, and I've even transitioned it even since then. Obviously that was 2 years ago, right? Now I even have like a team of senior photographers under me where like a senior can book through an Alex Blake senior or they can book through my Charleston Senior Collective team where
Mhm.
like I help plan with them, I help edit, not help, I do edit,
Yeah.
and deliver it to them, but like I have a different day of photographer for them. And for like that specifically, that is like fully automated. So they literally book like without ever talking to me first because it's
Oh,
different for seniors, right? And so
yeah.
like for a wedding, like please don't do this. Like I do not recommend doing this. But like for a senior, like especially in my area where it's a lot of tourist seniors, right? So they're like looking up and they're just like ready to book on the spot. They don't want to like talk and go back and forth with me. They just want to pick their date and pay their deposit. So they literally pick their date, pay their deposit, and then it auto sends back to them a follow-up file with the contract, with like all the things. And they have to like accept a terms and condition thing. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
safe before like when they pay that deposit or whatever. And then it like follows back up with them for like the rest of their information, what package they want to choose and all that kind of stuff. And then when they submit that, it sends them a questionnaire inspo and location form and they fill that out. And then everything is set for their shoot. And it's like literally up until then, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and that is probably so nice for the senior too, because
Yeah.
I agree with seniors. By the time they're reaching out to a photographer, they already know that they want them. They just
Yeah.
want to be able to like book a date and pay. With weddings, usually people are like
Very
reaching out
different.
to multiple people and they're not like maybe positive yet when they reach out to you. But with seniors, I think, yeah, they just want to be able to go in there, book their date, pay their deposit, and
Yes.
because they already know that's
Yeah.
like,
And it's also different too, because most of the time, the amount that you're paying for a wedding is very different than the amount that you pay for a senior photographer. That's not always true, but like, you know, most
yeah.
of the time it is. So speaking of pricing, how do you feel like, I know you said kind of 2 years ago, like you had those 11 bookings, you were so excited, but it was a little bit more on the cheaper side because it was like you were just starting out. How do you feel like your pricing has evolved over time?
It's definitely gotten higher every 6 months. Now I kind of change it yearly.
Yeah.
But I actually, when I started, like the first time I ever started charging, I was charging $25 per session. Um,
Paige, what?
I was in high school, and then I had
Okay.
a lot of groups that would want senior pictures with their friends together, and I was charging $25 per person.
That's
And I thought I
hilarious.
was like rich. I was like, 4 people and I'm making $100.
You're like, amazing.
And then slowly with like family telling me like you can charge more than that. And as I got better, I
Yeah.
started raising. It was then like $50 per session, and then $100 per session, and then eventually like multiple hundreds of dollars per session. Um, and then with weddings, I remember my first wedding was $400. My second wedding was $800. So I mean, I doubled. And then that first year when I had like 11 weddings, I had packages at that point, and they all ranged from like $1,000 to $2,000.
Yeah.
But I do specifically remember the first time I booked a $2,000 wedding, my first $3,000 booking, my first $4,000 booking, and then my first $5,000 wedding and $6,000 wedding were kind of close together. But like
Yeah.
I remember those exact clients in that exact moment, and each time it was like an accomplishment, and I was like, oh my gosh, someone is paying me $5,000 to like be their
Yeah.
photographer. And in that moment you do feel like super excited that like people think that's like what you're worth. But it can also be scary. Like I think naturally every photographer has like imposter syndrome when they raise their
Totally.
prices, and you could feel like I'm stealing money from these people. But as you get more confident and more people start booking you at that price, you realize like no,
Yeah.
that is what I'm worth. And as each year everything gets more expensive and the industry as a whole is just getting more expensive, and you have to keep up with it. So
Yeah. Those hard drive prices.
oh my
That's another podcast episode. We'll come back to that.
yeah.
But what do you feel like helped you actually feel confident to raise your prices? Because I do think that's so true. Like every photographer, every creative, I would say, deals with imposter syndrome. What helped you to kind of fight through that?
I would say really looking at my supply and demand. Like I was booking so many seniors and weddings last year that I was turning people down because I was so booked, and I was overworking myself because I was so booked.
Yeah.
So if you really look at like how in demand you are, you're like, wait, I could work less and make more per session and per wedding.
Yeah.
And not only are you making more per session, but you are like attracting more of your ideal clients.
Yeah.
For seniors, if you're more expensive and someone is willing to pay for you, that means that they really care about their senior pictures, and they're probably going to put more thought into their outfits and their hair and their makeup and their accessories. And as a photographer, you like love when people put effort into their like style for the photos. And for weddings, again, like if you are more expensive, you're going to have like a higher end wedding, and you're going to have like prettier details to capture. So not only are you like working less for more, but it's also more of like what you want to be photographing.
Yeah. I love that you talked about the ideal client, because I remember when I, for the first time, like really pushed my prices higher, and I went from having not like a lot of upset clients, but like, sometimes like people will have like a little bit of feedback for you, or you'll have to re-edit some stuff or whatever. And I went from having that on a more consistent basis, not like, oh my gosh, everything was crazy, but you know what I mean? But when I pushed my prices up, I almost eliminated that. And it was super interesting because I didn't recognize that like raising my prices would be something that allows me to have more of an ideal client. But it's true. People are more careful about how they spend their money versus budget shopping. When they're budget shopping, it's like, okay, I'm going to, spend this money, and I got a photographer, and this is like what the price was or whatever. And when they're spending a higher dollar amount, they are looking more at the style. They are looking more at the personality of the photographer and like the experience that they're going to get. And then they care more about, like you said, their hair, their makeup, or their outfit and stuff, versus the budget photographer is also going to be budget, or the budget, client is also going to be budget with their outfit and stuff like that. And they're not going to feel maybe as put together or as beautiful as they could in the photos, because they know that they really wanted that dress, but they chose this dress or whatever,
Yes.
And I definitely found that I had a lot less of those moments when I raised my price, and it surprised me so much. But I bet it's the same with weddings too. Would you say so?
Yes, definitely. Any one, like all the higher paying clients have no complaints ever. If anything, they are so nice and just
Hmm.
like it's because they're confident in you.
Yes.
They if they're paying that high of a price, they really want you and they really love your style and
Yeah.
they're confident in what you do and they're not going to have any complaints.
Yeah.
And then yeah, when you have lower paying clients, that's always when they just have something to
That's,
say.
yeah, that's where the complaints come in. And it's hard because you don't really want to say that. Like, that's why I keep trying to backtrack. I'm like, it's not like it was happening all the time, but you just like run into it a little
Yes.
bit more. But,
Yes.
but
Uh-huh.
also, speaking of, like, you're shooting more because it's less expensive. So there's also that too, where it's like, actually, like, you're shooting a lot more. And so, of course, you're going to have like more opportunities for people to be upset, you
That's
know?
true.
Which is
Yes.
just interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a photographer friend reach out literally yesterday. She texted me and she said, "Hello, can I have some advice?" And I said, "What's up, girlfriend?" And she was like, "So I'm really thinking about raising my prices, but I'm super nervous, blah, blah, blah." And then she's like, what was it exactly that she said? She said, "I was charging this, I want to charge this, but I'm shooting 5 to 6 times a week right now. And that's too much for me." And I'm like, well, yeah, like then you need to raise your prices. Like I would be so overwhelmed if that were me. And some people might love that. Not my thing. So, and clearly it's not hers either. But then she goes, "But I'm so afraid that my inquiries are going to go down." And I said, "Well, they will."
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point, right? Like if you're shooting three or if you're shooting like 5 to 6 times a week and you don't want to be, you want your inquiries to go down so that you like the option is taken off the table from even having to like say yes to these things. So I
Yeah.
love like everything that you said because I do feel like every experience that I've had and like my friends, like I said, she texted me, like it totally affirms everything that you just said. So okay. I had a little bit more that I wanted to talk to you about, Paige, but we got to keep rolling. We are past our time today. So let's close with this. If you could go back to when you first attended photo camp, what would you tell yourself?
I would say really lean into the networking and meeting people. I think that for me was like the best part of photo camp was meeting new people. I have friends from that very first photo camp that I still talk to on Instagram and like love so much
Yeah.
and they're all around the country and we're still like good friends. And then also really network with the speakers because they just have so much like information and knowledge and for me I did and I feel like it really like changed my life slightly in my business because like talking to Cassidy, talking to
Yeah.
Preston. I do wish I talked to Bo more because I'm really into film now and I wish I
You're
like
like, dang it, missed
yes.
opportunity.
Yes. But like for Preston, I got to do a Nikon campaign with him
True.
and a picture I took of him that like he edited and everything was like blown up on billboards and I was like, wow, like I took that picture and it was all from networking with
Yeah.
people that I met there. And then I
And you
went
went
to
to Cassidy's
Italy.
retreat,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Yes, and I probably wouldn't have ever gone if I didn't meet her. And then at that retreat the day before I got proposed to, so it was all meant to be.
That's so crazy.
um, and then there I also met people, and I just think it was like a big snowball effect. So like every opportunity you have at a retreat, especially photo camp, like just really make sure you're talking to everyone, networking, becoming friends, because I do
Yeah.
think that was like the best part
I
and
love
like
that.
the biggest change in my business. So
Yeah, I love that. I think the three pillars of like photo camp and really just like my life and business in general is creativity, community, and coaching. And I love creativity and I love coaching, but my favorite of those is community because I
mm,
think community really does impact your life, And like all of the other things do too, of course, but like community is just the one that sticks deeper,
yeah,
and it's the one that like when everything else fails, you go to your community. And so I love that answer. And I think that that's like the whole point of photo camp is like, yes, the other things too, but especially the community. So
yeah.
speaking of community, where can everybody find and follow you?
You can follow me at Paige Smith Photo on Instagram and Paige Smith Photo on TikTok. It might be Paige Smith Photography. Um, I got logged out of my first TikTok account, so I made
No.
a new one Let me check really quick.
You're like, hold on, what is it?
Yes.
No, I think mine's the same way. Like I have photo for everything except like Facebook or
Yes,
something like that.
I am Paige Smith Photography LLC on Facebook, but it's connected to my Instagram. So, but Paige Smith Photo on Instagram, and sorry, this is taking me a second.
That's fine. Honestly, Paige, they'll find it.
Yeah,
Yeah. You go ahead.
it's Paige Smith Photography on
Okay,
TikTok,
good.
and then my website is paigesmithphoto.com.
Perfect. Paige, thank you so much for coming. Seriously, it's been such a like fun full circle moment to get to talk to you. Like so amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor. Like, seriously, I love you so much. Photo camp was amazing. So it is just so full circle to be here.
And the next one is in May. I weirdly have 2 day spots open and 1 overnight spot. And this is like the first time that it's been this close to camp with still having spots open. So jump on this opportunity because there's not going to be another camp until 2027. Your girl's having a baby and she's not doing 2 camps this year. So jump on it if you want to hop in 2026. Okay, I love you guys and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.